I had a very interesting reading month. It started off strong, sort of wilted in the middle, and I had new to me authors, and I had surprises and just stuff that I thought I would love and didn't love, and let's just get into everything. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. For those who are new, welcome. My name is Monica. For those who are not new, welcome back. It's great to see you here again. And today I have my April monthly wrap up. So before I talk about my surprises and any books that I feel like I want to expand upon, let's go through the stats. Okay, so in the month of April, and I am going to be looking at my notes on my computer because I really just do not have any print. I do not have any more ink, and I'm not about to go buy ink right now. So, all right. In the month of April, I have read a total of 40 books, which is surprising. I didn't think I was going to read that much, and I honestly didn't realize I had read that much until yesterday when I started putting this together. We're finishing up the 48-hour readathon, and I just finished my last book, which was The Heiress at Sea, and that put it up to 40 books. Okay, and then out of those 40 books, I had 12 favorite books, so I feel like I've done pretty good so far. In 2023, I have read a total of 140 books. My Goodreads goal is 169, so I probably will be meeting that goal next month if I keep reading the way I've been reading. And for my total favorites of 2023, out of the 140 books, I have 32 favorites. I think, honestly, I don't think that's bad. I actually think that's pretty good, considering I've gotten a little more picky with giving my favorite list or my 5 stars. I do, again, give 5 stars to ones that are not favorites because of one reason or another, because I just feel like they deserve it. Okay, let's go ahead and do the star ratings for the stats. For my star ratings, I had 3 rereads, which I don't restar. They are what they are, except for one. I did not rate the one that I had reread, which was The Lord of Scoundrels, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I did not count it towards my stars because it was a reread. Anyway, I had 13 5 stars. 12 4.5 stars, 8 4 stars, 2 3.5 stars, 2 3 stars, 0 unrated, and 0 DNFs. And if I put anything below a 3 star, I will just not rate it because I'm not going to do that. So now let's get into the genre or the subgenres that they are. I read romance generally. That's generally what I just read. So, and you can tell because in the month of April, I read 8 historical romances, 25 contemporary romances. I'm like, oh, wow. 1 sports romance, 2 romantic suspense, 1 fantasy romance, 2 paranormal romances, and 1 nonfiction, which is my only non-romance book. Now that we got those stats out of the way, I want to give you my top 3. Out of the 12, I picked 3 that are on my top. That's coming in at number 3 is The Serpent in the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I'm not a fantasy reader, but I'm starting to be converted because 2-3 months in a row I started with the ACOTAR series, and then I did the Serpent and then I read The Serpents in the Wings of Night, and I've loved pretty much every single one. There's only one that I did not like, and that was the Court of Frost and Starlight, because that was not necessary. But yeah, I've either given them like 4, 4.5 or 5 stars. Like I'm interested in fantasy now, so this is very interesting. Coming in at number 2 and was sitting on my number 1 for a very long time was Grim and Barrett by Juliet Cross. This was a surprise to me, and I will talk about it in a second. That's just fantastic. It was 5 stars in the Stay a Spell series. I love that series. but it was knocked off. My number one is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. And I was surprised because, well, I love Abby Jimenez and her books are usually on my top. But for it to knock off Grim and Barrett was pretty interesting to me because I love pretty much every single Stay a Spell series. And this is the part where I'm going to talk about some of the ones that I have read. But the thing is I am not going to have notes, so it might be a little choppy. So if it is, it is. I'm sorry. I just want to get this filmed because I have a lot going on. And we're having some people coming over, and so I won't be able to film later on today. So let's just get into it. So here are some of my highlights and my lowlights. So for my highlight, my biggest surprise was Grim and Barrett because it's not coming out till May 9th. It's on my May TBR, but I got an ARC. I never get ARCs. Like, I don't ever apply for ARCs. I don't ask for ARCs. I mean, although I have to say, if Catherine Carroll's ever decide to give me an ARC and her the PR packages, or if same with Juliet Cross or same with Rebecca Yarros, I would be so excited for those. But I normally don't get ARCs. I did get an ARC because I am on her Patreon. I try to support authors and booktubers and bookish people who are doing good work. So I got an ARC and I read it in one sitting, and oh my gosh, it lived up to the hype that was in my head. Henry Blackwater is a Grimm, and Clara is the last of the Savoy sisters to get her happily ever after. And there is no third act breakup. However, she's very, very like whimsical, but she has this darker side to her that's you don't really see, and she knows things before they happen. She has the sight a little bit, but not like her sister Violet. And so she's straddling this line of knowing stuff, but yet not knowing stuff. So she comes off a little like flighty, and she's not. She's very not flighty. And then you have Henry, who was really, really traumatized. Some guy who was supposed to help her, some guy that was supposed to help him, excuse me, not her, him. He ended up hurting him by throwing him into this, basically this hellscape, and that caused him a lot of emotional trauma, where to the point where he did not want to be who he is. He's a Grimm. And he is a necromancer. So that means he can go to the other side and he can bring people back who have died. And the conflict, the main conflict is not their relationship, because they have a very strong relationship. They're fated mates, basically. The conflict is what happens with his father. So his father allowed this guy to tutor him, and then all of a sudden this guy hurts Henry. And so then the guy disappears. His dad is accused of murder of his girlfriend, who is a human. And so Henry, with his brother Sean and Gareth Blackwater, they tried to figure out, with the help of the Savoys, of all of them. I mean, you have Debrage, you have every single character from all the books are in this books. They make a substantial appearance. Everything is like close. The whole main conflict through the entire book series is really wrapped up for the most part. I mean, there still could be more to added to it if she wanted to, because the main overarching plot of this entire series is acceptance. It's not just accepting of the wolf pack. It's not just accepting of who you are. It's accepting of people despite their differences and their flaws. Even celebrating their differences and their flaws. And one of the ways they talk about that is this tattoo that helps them really amplify their powers. And this started in Witches Get Stitches with Violet. Now, here's the thing. This book has an ending that not a lot of people are going to like, because it's kind of like the labor and delivery version of an Oprah show where you get a baby and you get a baby and you get a baby. And I mean, that's even stated in there. And that, I'm sorry if that's a spoiler, but yeah, no, I enjoyed every minute of the book. I didn't even mind the ending. I like the ending because I feel like she is using that type of plot device, I guess you could say, or the way she introduced the ending is we are probably going to have a next gen series, which I'm totally not mad about. She hasn't said confirmed or denied, because I asked her, I was like, are we getting a next gen series? Because I would be all over that. Absolutely. Anyway, yeah, 5 stars, favorite. Another one that was very shocking to me, and I alluded to this, it was a reread, and it was Lord of Scoundrels. I hated Lord of Scoundrels, and I will actually not going to talk a lot about it because there's a couple other books I really want to talk about. I talked about Lord of Scoundrels because, and the reason why I DNF'd it after like the first 5 chapters, I think it was the language she used around Jessica Trent's brother. He sounded like he had an intellectual disability and he does not have social skills. And I have it on a vlog, so I'm going to link the vlog down below if you want to check that out to get my full thoughts. But needless to say, yeah, that's still there and that is a concern. However, once I got past that one part, the reading experience, the romance, the character arcs, everything changed. It was like night and day. I loved it. I loved everything about that book. That book would have been a perfect 5-star rating, and I would have actually broken my own rule and not called this a reread if it wasn't for the first part, because that first part I did have to try and reread and I still had the same issues, but I pushed myself through it and got through, and if it wasn't for that, it would be perfect. So that was a surprise. The other thing that I want to talk about that was just kind of makes me laugh, and this I guess is a low light, but it's sort of a highlight as well, is If This Is Love. Yes, If This Is Love by Julianne. Okay, so I was talking on some sprints today about this. I don't like the book. It brought out rage in me. I do not like cowardly heroes. I felt like she read too young. Again, that was in a recap. I will put that video down below as well, so you can hear me start singing Jolene, because I really felt like I was in a Cowboy Mafia version of Jolene, the Dolly Parton song. That's what I felt like in through this book. But however, one of the reasons why I decided I had it at 2.5 and I wasn't going to rate it, I'm leaving it at 3, but I'm going to put 3.5. And the reason why is because Julianne is a fantastic writer. She did what she set out to do. She made me feel and she made me think. Now, granted, I reacted probably different than what she wanted me to react, but again, that's subjective. She met her goal when she wrote this. She made me think, she made me feel, and she made me rage, because I raged. I was like, oh, come on. Please stop doing this. Whereas I have read books that were supposed to do the same thing, where I was just like, okay. Like, I would get bored and not even continue on, or I would continue on but zone out or whatever. With this, I didn't zone out. I was like right there, and I was just like, no, 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 no. But it's because of the way she wrote it, the way she wrote the characters, the pacing, the language she used, the setting, the characterization, the narrative, all of it was really, really good. For the technical part of her storytelling, that is 5 stars. She deserves that extra bump up, and I am going to give it to her. So I put that from a 2.5 to a 3.5. And the others that I want to talk about was the other Julianne book that I read, which was For Lucy. So before I read If This Is Love, I read For Lucy. That was 5 stars. That was perfection. I loved that book. So again, going back to If This Is Love, that is why I felt comfortable giving her that extra star, because that girl can write her butt off, and I absolutely love her as a author. Okay, and I also loved Coach. That was really good. That was everything I expected and more. Okay, and so the other thing that I actually discovered, another very big highlight, was the Rose Canyon series. And in fact, we're going to be doing a read along with Jess from Peace Love Books and Tori from Novel Life. I've binge read that. It was the first 3 books I read in April, and holy crap, loved all 3 of them. There is an overarching plot. You have to read them in order. I have talked about them in the past. I really, really feel like you should read them. They're romantic suspense. They follow 3 different couples, so each couple gets their own book. So anyway, that was a big highlight, and that actually put me into a Corinne Michaels binge where I wanted to read her Salvation series, because we met some of those characters in the Rose Canyon series. So I binged the entire Salvation series. And the last book that I do want to talk about is not my #1 book, because we're all reading it, and if you know, you know. I want to talk about Tryst by Lauren Blakely. And the reason why I want to talk about Tryst by Lauren Blakely is because this is a daddy romance. Okay, no, not what you're saying. I misspoke. Her ex-boyfriend that she had for like, what, 3 weeks or 3 months or something like that, they never even hooked up or anything. She goes on vacation. She meets this really hot guy who's older, and it turns out to be her ex-boyfriend's dad. I mean, her friend and his dad do not have the same last name, okay? There's no possible way they would have known that. I mean, his son calls him Daddy Bancroft, and his last name's Adams. And the thing is, and what would have made it a typical, 4 to 4 or 5 star book for me, made it into my favorites, is because how they dealt with the situation. Everyone was at first extremely shocked and just like, whoa. And yeah, that I would understand that. But as the book went on, as the relationship continued to develop, because they had real feelings for each other after their initial encounter, and when he moved back to New York City, I felt like the way the hero and the heroine supported each other was just so good. And I also loved how they were both like, okay, we need to tell him, when they finally decided to be together. They're like, we got to tell him. And they were about to tell him, but he figured it out. Here's the thing, is this is what tipped it over. They all treated each other with respect and acted like grown adults, like that they are. They did not act childish or do any of those shenanigans you get that's in this type of book. That didn't happen. And I loved that. I loved that they were all mature adults. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm glad. I got this rec from Jenn from the Book Refuge. So thank you, Jenn. That was a great one. That is definitely a great rec. Anyway, so those are some of the stuff that I wanted to talk about with my wrap up. Let me know if you've read any of these and what book was your favorite, because I would like to know, because if it's not something I have read, I will definitely be checking it out. And if you have made it this far in this video, please leave me a daisy emoji, as it is springtime. And until my next video, happy reading, everybody. Bye.